Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and also help your social media marketing and help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? Because I know I do. And I'm really stoked here today to have Peter Romeo. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
Peter, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Peter Romeo, as she said, and my company name is Woolly Head Design. We're a full-service graphic design company located in Westchester County. I've been a graphic designer for about 40 years. I don't like to say that out loud, but that's the truth. And we specialize in branding for small businesses. We help brands and their businesses with their logos, their websites, and their marketing materials.
Awesome. And tell me, I know at least 10 graphic designers. What separates you? What makes you different than other graphic designers?
Well, that's a good question. I would say my experience. I have been through a lot of situations. I have been designing since before the Macintosh was invented. So I understand how to build things. When I first started graphic design, it was much more of a production job where you actually had to build a mechanical that then went to a printer. So I understand print. I understand digital. So I think experience is a big part of it. I've designed almost in every industry you can name except the sin industries. I've never designed for alcohol, cigarettes, or sex. And we're very easy to work with at Woolly Head Design. I don't have these long, elaborate contracts where I charge you after a second round of corrections. My job is to make the client happy. So I do a lot of listening. I figure out what they want. Sometimes they'll tell me what they want and they really want something completely different. And that just comes with having experience as well. So I think we're really easy to work with too.
What do you think was probably your most favorite job that you've ever done?
Wow, I've never been asked that question before. My favorite job that I've ever done. Well, I do a lot of licensing work. I work in the licensing industry a lot, and I always get a kick out of doing that because I work with licensed properties. So I deal a lot with Disney and Marvel and Star Wars, and I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to that stuff. So I might get a brand guide for a new movie that no one else has ever seen before, and then I get to work with that brand guide, and it's like a secret to the world, and I have to sign non-disclosure agreements or else I'll get executed. But the bottom line is I have a lot of fun with that. So I'd say my licensing work is the most fun I do.
Wow, that sounds interesting. A lot of people who are on this call today are actually business owners, people who are thinking of starting their own business. What do you enjoy most about being in business for yourself?
Well, there's a lot of things I enjoy about it. One, I get to make my own decisions. I get to work on it on my own time. I get to put the effort that I think is necessary to make the client happy. I started my business in 2011. I was kind of like an accidental business owner because I worked somewhere for 22 years and the company folded, and I was really planning on retiring there. And then in 2011, I started Woolly Head. And I should have started 10 years early. There's so many things about working on my own that I love. I always tell people, bet on yourself. That's the best bet you can make. So if you're ever thinking about being an entrepreneur, put all the fear aside, put all the negativity aside, and just jump in feet first. I love meeting new people. I love helping small businesses. And I never got that chance when I worked at a larger company. I was always, I was a creative director and I made a lot of decisions, but they were always coming from somewhere else and had to go out through me as opposed to me generating it and then producing it. So it's really been a pleasure owning my own business. I'd say the best part of it is everything. How's that for a roundabout answer?
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking and you mentioned your company's name, which is Woolly Head Design. Mm-hmm. Interesting name. Can you tell me where you got that name from?
When my kids were little, we used to go to the Bronx Zoo. Okay. And when you come in the Bronx Zoo from one exit, the first animals that you see are the bison, right? When you come in on one of the sides. And my children always called the bisons the woolly heads. So when I was thinking of a new name for a business, I said Woolly Head Design, and everybody in the family said, "Oh, that's a great name," and that's what we went with.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I too frequented with my children when they were young to the Bronx Zoo. My
we
favorite.
went there all the time. Yeah, we went there all the time. It was great.
We got the family membership and
exactly.
Right.
That's what we did. We got the family membership and we went constantly. Same thing.
And great. It's a great walk too.
It is.
I always like to talk, I always talk with business owners about all the wonderful things and the great things about owning a business, but there's challenges. And what would you say has been your biggest challenge since opening your own business?
The hardest challenge, and it continues to this day, is filling the pipeline with new business. And I'm sure I'm not alone with that. Because I was the creative director, I never went on the sales calls when I was at my old company. I was fortunate that because I did a lot of the work when I started out on my own, I called my clients and let them know that I was starting my own business and then they were going to be getting the same level of service. And thank goodness they decided to come with me. But filling the pipeline and selling has always been the hardest challenge. And along with that is finding good salespeople, because I have gone through several salespeople that I trusted, and you live and you learn, right? So that's been the hardest thing, is filling the pipeline and keeping working.
Yeah, I think that would be most people's challenge. It's you're always, and I think a key to that, and you probably would agree with me, is networking. Is sure. That you can't sit behind your computer all day. You actually have to get out there and talk to people.
Absolutely, you have to get past your discomfort zone. All right, you have to embrace your discomfort. It's funny. I'm going to be giving a motivation moment this week at my networking group, and it's about motivation after a setback. And one of the things I talk about is embracing discomfort, right? Because you'll have a setback, and then there's negative thoughts that flood in, and you really need to push those things out of the way and embrace the discomfort level that you have, and go with it, and walk into a room where you know nobody, right? Which is what networking is originally. You walk into a room where you don't know anybody and you build relationships, and that's hard to do, but it's something that you have to overcome.
Yeah, I did that twice this week. I mean, I really, I went to one network, or I should say last week, I went to two groups that I knew nobody really well. Right. And it was interesting, and it was just a really great experience for me. And I felt like, wow, this is, there's always new people to meet, and they have exciting things to offer. And it's just so funny, because I always say that if you're not talking about your business to somebody, then you kind of really don't have a business. And it's not my original saying. I heard somebody else say that a year ago, and it stuck with me, is like, did I do anything for my business today? Well, then guess what? I don't have a business. Right. So I'm always trying to move forward with doing my own, making sure that I'm getting my business out in front of people. So you kind of already mentioned, you a little advice for people is, but if there was one other thing that you could say to somebody who needs a little bit of encouragement right now, what is one piece of advice you would give someone who's just starting out or maybe struggling?
Well, along with betting on yourself, is just don't have any doubts. There's so many experiences where you could pull a positive out of it or a negative. There are negative experiences you get positive things from. Always be positive. And actually, along with that, is surround yourself with positive people. I think that's a huge thing to do as well, is to surround yourself with people who are positive, who can give you the encouragement and the support and the tough love when necessary. But surround yourself with positive people and always be optimistic about things, always.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you say that, surround yourself with positive people. I recently heard a talk about you only want to hang around with people who are a 10.
Absolutely.
And absolutely. That really stuck with me. And I'm like, so I went through my list of people that I was hanging out with, and making sure that they were all 10s.
Right.
And, not that I'm going to discount somebody who isn't a 10, but maybe spending less time with them and hanging with the people. Everybody that I hang out with that is a 10, they always lift me up. They always, encourage me. So I just want to encourage everybody out there to make sure that they are, hanging out with 10s and positive people, because you don't want to we all know the environment in the world out there right now. So we don't need to bring people in our lives that are going to continue on with that environment. And
you're right. There's enough negativity for everybody 5 times over. So you're right about that.
Absolutely. So I just want to thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. And if there's anybody out there, for instance, that may be interested in working with you or learning more about your business, how would they get in touch with you?
Okay, well, I have a website, it's woollyheaddesign.com, WOOLYHEAD design.com. My phone number is 914-673-6559, and my phone is glued to my hip. So reach out through the website or give a call, and I'd be happy to talk to you about anything, any help you need with your branding, logos, marketing, websites, anything like that.
That's awesome. And we'll also put all the information in all the posts and on the podcast. So
thank you.
Thank you again. And until next week, everyone, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at Biz Gone Social for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.